Hey there, it's Olivia-Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and Gofftober is almost upon us. We are creeping closer to the date, and to help you choose your TBR, I'm here to recommend you some diverse Gothic horror style books. So all of these are a little bit creepy in one way or another, or cute but have creepy creatures in them. I'll further explain. And all of these are diverse in one way or the other. It might be because they have Black or Asian or other cultured authors, it might be because they have queer authors or characters, or disabled authors and characters, and I'll explain the reason why I put them on this list as I recommend them. The first book that I'm going to recommend to you is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, and this is a horror book about this character who goes to a house because they hear that one of their friends is ill, and when they get to the house, not everything is as it should be. There is something very creepy happening to this house, but also to some of the things and creatures that live around the house as well. And this is the perfect one for fans of Mexican Gothic. It just edges a little bit of sci-fi into its horror right there at the end, and it does it very, very well. The suspense and the slow build-up is what makes this very much a Gothic story, and we have a non-binary main character. I also want to recommend to you The Promise Boys by Nick Brooks. This is a young adult thriller where we are at a prestigious school called Promise, and the headmaster of that school is murdered, and there are 3 black boys who are suspects for the murder because they all had motive and they were all kind of in a prime place when the murder happened, and these characters band together to prove their innocence and find out who has really done this. So this one, I really enjoyed it. I just found it to be very suspenseful. I love the creative storytelling in this one because you hear not only from the boys' perspective but also from some of the bystanders and the people around. It was a very fun read. I whizzed through it, and I think it's the perfect one for Gofftober because you love a good murder mystery during the Gothic month, and it's also got black characters, black Latin characters as well, and it's by a black author. Another one I'm going to quickly recommend here is The Mysteries of Thorn Manor, which is actually a sequel novella to Sorcery of Thorns, which could also work for this prompt because it has a bisexual love interest main character. And in The Mysteries of Thorn Manor, it's following the 2 characters from the first book, and they are living in a manor that is sentient and magical and has a mind of its own, but it's decided to lock them in and start acting very bizarre. The main characters have to figure out what the house wants and what they need to do to resolve it and resolve its problems. There's a demon that can shapeshift into a cat involved. We've got bisexual main characters and a lot of sentient house magical madness that is done so very well. I had the best time with this. I love this series, I love this author, I love these characters, and I am someone who loves a sentient house, but usually I go for the Gothic creepy sentient house, and it was nice to see a magical one, and that can be a prompt if you play the Gofftober game, so I thought it was very apt to recommend it here. I'm going to recommend a manga to you, and that's Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 1, and it's following this boy who always wants to do the best by everyone around him. He's part of the occult club at the school that he goes to, and they happen to stumble across a very dangerous demon artifact, and the events follow of what transpires when this artifact kind of releases its capabilities. This one is full of demons, and it's full of the people who fight against demons, so it's very much fitting in the Gofftober antics. It's a manga for if you want something that's a bit illustrated and easier to read for that reason, and it's so very good. I love the anime to this, which you can also watch during Gofftober, but I also have read the first volume of the series and I love it and I want to continue, so I had to recommend it here. I also wanted to recommend The Memory Eater by Rebecca Mahoney. This is for if you want something a bit more lightly creepy, and well, the monster in this is quite creepy. She is someone who eats your memories, and it's always been quite transactional between the people who live along this beach stretch and the monster. She feeds off of their memories and they give her memories that they don't want, but when the monster breaks free, they kind of need to catch this monster, and the person who usually manages these transactions, because she has the ability to control to some extent the Memory Eater, she tasks it upon herself to try and catch the Memory Eater if she possibly can, and she is also a bisexual queer main character, so that's where the diversity is coming in. I find it fits Gothic because the way that this monster eats memories is quite reminiscent of the Gothic, of taking away what haunts you, and it's done so very well. This pleasantly impressed me. I thought it was going to be a mediocre breeze for a read, but I read through it and it was just so well thought out and so well executed that I could not help but love this book more. The cover is creepy. It's perfect for Gofftober reading. I'm also going to recommend Bitterthorn. This is kind of a Gothic romance book. So we're set in a world where a witch comes every year and she takes a man to her lair, and that man is never heard of again. But this is done so that peace can be kept, and they don't understand why the peace is kept this way, but they go along with it. But there's this young girl who is really unhappy with her life. She's unsatisfied with it, and she volunteers herself to the witch, and the witch has never taken a woman before, but she agrees to. And when the woman gets to the witch's lair, she discovers that there's a whole load more to the reasons why the witch takes people, and she starts to get more and more fascinated by the witch that seems to not care about her at all and her habits, and maybe a romance starts. I describe this book as a retelling of Beauty and the Beast meets Sleeping Beauty, and it is done so well. And for someone who doesn't read a lot of young adult fantasy, I was hooked while reading this book. I think I read it in 1 or 2 days. I was impressed by how it was retelling these fairy tales but mashing them together in a very unique way and bringing something refreshing to the table. And also it's a sapphic love story, which is really nice to see. We've seen these kind of retellings before, but it being sapphic just adds something new to the mix. And I was intrigued by the writing. It had the Gothic creepiness feel to it, but it really sold me on their romance as well. Oh, I have to recommend The Older Woman with the Knife by Gu Byeong-mo. This is a translated thriller book, and it's following an elderly assassin who's nearing the age of retirement, and she makes one fatal mistake while on one of her missions, and she tries to self-correct that throughout this book. And I was fascinated. I was worried that it was going to hold back because of the fact that we've got an elderly main character, but it doesn't do so at all. It goes out there with the body gore and the violence. It's still present, it's still there. She's such a convincing assassin. She does assassinating things, and I always like to see that on page, because sometimes you get assassins who are just assassins by name but don't seem to actually do any assassinating. That's not the case here. And it does talk about some of the deeper themes of like grief and love and being elderly, and what it means when you might be losing your memory, what it means when you're unsure of how your body works and whether it's just aging or if this is a permanent change now. It is so fascinating to read books from elderly characters' perspectives and to kind of get a glimpse into the inside of what worries or thoughts that they are having at that time, especially when you're coming close to your retirement but you're not ready to retire. And if your whole life has been quite secret and private, what is left for you afterwards? And it delves into all of those, while also giving you a super gory violent thriller. What more could you want? I've got a graphic novel recommendation here, which is one that I didn't love but lots of people seem to, so I'm going to recommend it anyway, and that is My Favourite Thing Is Monsters by Emil Ferris. And this is a thick bad boy of a graphic novel. Don't think you can race through this one, because it's not going to happen. The artwork is absolutely off the charts stunning and detailed and intricate, and I haven't even told you what the story is about yet. So we're following a young girl who depicts herself as a monster, and she is dealing with quite a lot of different things. Her mother is ill, her brother is quite a womanizer, but he might be all she is left with, so she wants to connect to him. She's got feelings for a girl in her class, and also she has had a murder happen in the apartment building above, and it's been labelled as suicide, but she doesn't believe that's the case, and she's trying to figure out who has done it. I really liked the murder mystery element, and the more that we learned about the murder victim and her past, the more I was really interested in what happened there, and that gets quite emotional and intense. It's also got a good depiction of grief, and I do just love the stunning artwork. And of course it's hinting at there being a sapphic relationship that's going to continue into the next book, because there's more than one volume, so that is what makes this one a diverse book. I had to recommend You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kalynn Bayron. This is a black horror book. It's got slasher, final girl vibes to it, and that's why I picked it up, because I love all of those things. But it's also got a black lesbian main character as our lead. How pleasant is that? So you're set at Mirror Lake, where a group of teenagers kind of enact out a final girl scenario, and it's an experience that people come and pay for, when one night it seems like people are actually starting to die, and this experience that she's used to running has become a whole lot more real. And it was just so much fun. It's shorter it's on the shorter end at 250-ish pages, so you can blitz through it. It brings all the slasher vibes, it has all of the references that you want it to, but it also has that really nice slow build in terms of the action happening and the murders happening, and it just makes that suspense get to the point you need it to be. It doesn't hold back, it goes all out, it's scary, it's fun, and it does bring the final girl vibes. It still manages to have a twist that I didn't expect, which is always satisfying even when a book seems like it's going to be quite straightforward. So I had a great time with this one. I want to recommend to you Meesh the Bad Demon by Michelle Lamb, and this is for all you Gofftober girlies who want to read along the Gofftober lines and want to read something with a demon in it, but they don't want anything scary. I promise you, this is not a scary book at all. It's cute, it's cutesy, it's like the heartstopper of the Gothic books in this list. So you're following Meesh. She's a young little demon, and she goes to school and she gets bullied, and she doesn't like being a demon. She actually likes things like fairies and magic and sunshine and rainbows, and not nighttime and the scary stuff that she's supposed to like. But when something happens to her village and she's the only one who might be able to save them if she can get help from the fairy people, she's going to have to learn how to appreciate herself and who she is to be able to save her friends and family, and she has to team up with an unlikely group of characters to help her do so. The artwork in this is really cute. The message that's underlying about loving yourself and loving even the parts of you that make you stand out is just so sweet and heartwarming. I just had a good time. The colours are bright, the artwork is cute, and the message is lovely. I recommend it. I did touch on this last time as one that I wanted to read, but I hadn't read it at that point yet, and that is Tokyo Ghoul by Sue Ishida. And this, I just love the anime so much, but I think I'm enjoying the manga even more so far. We're following Kaneki. He has a crush on this girl, but when he spends time with this girl, it turns out that she is a ghoul, and ghouls eat humans. And she, of course, tries to eat him. But when a fatal accident happens that leaves him critically ill, the hospital go ahead and do an organ transplant of the ghoul's organs into his body, not knowing that she's a ghoul, and this transforms him into a half-human, half-ghoul. And he has to kind of deal with this transformation, deal with the fact that now he's stepped a foot into the ghoul world and ghoul culture and everything that that holds, while he's also still living in the human world too. Yeah, I love it. I just love it. I love all the characters. I love the storylines and the plots. I love how, unlike Bella Swan, he really struggles to deal with the concept of being half ghoul, half human, who needs to have a ghoul diet. And it's fascinating. It's really, really good. And the artwork is lovely. So, well, creepy and horror lovely. So give it a go if that's your cup of tea. The last book I'm going to recommend here, I'm just going to touch on briefly because I've been talking about it in a lot of videos lately, but that is Who Fears Death by Nnedi Okorafor, and this is kind of grim dark fantasy. That's the way I would put it. If you've read The Poppy War and you know how violent and on the page it can get, yeah, expect that and more from Who Fears Death as well. So this one is a desert fantasy book about a woman who is born in the desert and she is angry, and as she grows up she discovers she has these abilities and capabilities that mark her out as unique, and those enable her to realize that someone wants her dead and she's going to need to fight back. I'm going to just give you some keywords because I've talked about this book a lot lately, but it's very intersectionally feminist. I fell for each one of the characters and I adored them and I wanted them to survive and I wanted them to be okay. It's suspenseful. It's talking about the hate that people have and how toxic that can be, but on a large scale, on a genocide level scale. And it's absolutely devastating to see the consequences of what happens, but the way that the plot ties into the themes is done so very well. It's magical, the world building is next level amazing, the ending just got me. It got me in my emotions, and I'm saying sad ones, positive ones, unexpected ones, all the range of emotions I felt while reading this book. It's one of those books that I was so addicted to, but I couldn't even read it fast because I wanted to savor it, because I never wanted it to end. I said I was going to list out a couple of things, but I adore that book so much. So there you have it. Those are 12 gothic horror murder mystery creatures, but also sometimes kind of cute creatures that you can read for the month of Gofftober. If you don't know what I'm on about, but you're very intrigued by these recommendations and want to learn more, I'll have a link to my announcement video to Gofftober down below. But I'm so excited to see you all in October, to talk books with you, to talk gothic things and creatures with you. Let me know in the comment section down below what's your favourite monster or creature or mythological being. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit my notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!